So I remember you talking about how you like Jackie because of like because I like Jackie because I like her moves. Like I like the fact that she does an arm bar, because I recognize that from Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and she does like a leg grab I think too, like a leg bar too. I don't know what it's called, but you put your opponent in a leg lock. I've practiced that before
Yeah,
several times. So is that like what is that like the big thing that kind of lured you to Jackie? Because I remember you were telling me like she had MMA moves and that's why you liked her. Was that
yeah.
one?
Coming into this as my first fighting game, when I first saw the characters play, I went more by like their play style, how they look, how they fight, and what drew me to Jackie was like that first round KO. It looked pretty cool. Muay Thai. You're mixing MMA in there. I used to do wrestling, so when she got on the ground, like when you do the tech counters, I thought that was really cool. But
Okay,
obviously, when Upgraded comes out, it solves the issue for being zoned and other things that she lacked in.
okay, okay. Oh, so you did wrestling. Okay. So yeah, you know about the grappling arts and all that. Pinning your opponent and things of that sort. Because that's something I think is really cool, that jacket. Because I remember in MK9 and MKX. I liked Scorpion because of some of the martial art moves he did. I recognized like his scissor kick, like that's like a takedown kind of thing. I recognize that, and it's just cool when like characters from a game you really enjoy playing and you spend a lot of time on, that they have that kind of you have that connection. You kind of understand what type of moves they're doing, and it kind of draws your allure to the character, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
so what kind of sealed I would ask like what kind of sealed your deal with Jackie though? Like what was the big you would say it's the bionic bounce? I think that's what I usually hear.
Hmm. I would think it's probably the mids.
The
Because
mids.
once I
Okay.
started learning about fighting games, I learned how important mids are and how valuable they are in fighting games. Because they basically negate any other option besides flawless blocking in this game.
Okay.
So since she has basically the best mids that aren't like compared to Cassie's, and I didn't really like Cassie's playstyle, so since I already started with the character, might as well stay with it.
And you like was Jackie the first character you tried or you just kind of
Well,
landed on
aside
her?
from Liu Kang, because of the story mode, everyone probably played Liu Kang as their first character in this game.
Okay. Okay.
But very few games before I started branching out. The first two characters was Jackie and Gears. I still play a little bit of Gears here and there, but
Okay.
still not as fun. He's very linear. He doesn't have as much mix and like the command grab's really strong. You could literally base a whole game around it, but it's not the type of gameplay I at least want to go for.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. So is the 9 frame I would is the forward 3, right? Or does she have another strong mid
Her
or is
forward
it
one,
forward forward
which is
1?
my, I think is her better stagger. Forward one two.
Okay. Forward 1 2. Okay.
Yeah, forward one is 11 frames and it's -2 on block. Just like forward three is 9 frames and -2, but the forward one has less recovery. So you could do forward three and forward one. They'll both be -2, but after the forward one, you'll be able to press quicker.
Oh, okay. So it's better for pressure then. Forward
Basically,
3
that's
is
the
better
one
for
you'll see.
checking.
Yeah, here and there you'll see a single forward three stagger, but most of the time that's not the button that's staggered by itself.
Okay. Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, I've kind of dabbled in Jackie a little bit, so I kind of recognize some of those moves because I remember when I first started learning how to tech throws, I did her like forward 3-1. It's in some YouTube video somewhere where you do like her forward 3 and then like the cancel, I think, and then you do a throw or you do the full string, and you have to like guess between teching the throw or blocking. So I
That's not a
remember.
fun time.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, Jackie, something I like about Jackie is like if you do want to play that pressure heavy character, you do have a character that kind of they can, in a sense, uh, basically bully your opponent or be so aggressive that your opponent can't get away, they can't zone. I do like the game having characters like that, like Jackie and Jax, because I do think I like as much as I like spacing and zoning, I understand that there's some players, and that kind of segues into my next question, but some players they might prefer the more in-your-face pressure. They don't want to really deal, well, they'll deal with zoning just to get in, and then they want to put you in the corner and then, deplete your health bar through pressure. So I've kind of heard little bits and pieces, but you're definitely more in the pressure kind of area, right? For the most part, you would prefer a character that focuses more on pressure and less on uh what's the right word, footsies and zoning. Would you say that?
Yeah, I think it stems from since I basically started gaming. I think the first game I actually put decent hours into when I was young was probably RuneScape. Back in like 2005, 2006, when it was just mostly PvP. I was just by myself and you have to be in someone's face. I never liked range, I never liked magic, so I was always um that strength peer, like just go up to you and try to kill you as fast as I can. In
Okay.
other games like MMOs, I went for assassin types, like always just in your face, try to get in and out of the fight. Like get my kill, do my job, and I'm out.
Okay.
So I guess that's what drew me to Jacqui. She's just like in your face, take this pressure. If you could deal with it, good. But if not, then I'm gonna have a field day.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny that you say that because I think sometimes, like, what would you say? I guess the question is, what would you say about zoner? Like, do you think that? Because I've kind of thought this a few times myself. You probably should learn how to play both play styles, right? Like, if you're a zoner, right? You probably want to learn how to play pressure so you can kind of deal with pressure better. Would you tell zoners that? Would you tell zoners to try kind of a more aggressive? Because that's kind of how I've always seen you as a player is like you really like the kind of pressure, you know, like if you were in an MMA fight, you wouldn't be keeping your distance. You'd be getting in and like trying to, tackle and attack. That's kind of how I've always viewed your play style. So, something that kind of always frustrates me a little bit with MK players is that they think that zoning and neutral, like if a player only zones and only does neutral, they can't play pressure. But, me as a player, when I played MKX, I played Hellfire Scorpion. That's like the most pressure heavy character in that game, like one of them. So, would you say that zoners maybe they should try pressure characters, or would you say that they should stick to what they know best? Like, what do you think about that? Because I'm not a heavy pressure character, but I can play that way. So I'm asking you as a pressure character because I want to know like what would you say to them?
Hmm. I've never seen anything wrong with someone that just wants to play, let's say, a zoning type of archetype in the game.
Yeah.
I think every avenue is effective and can work. But what I recommend is people not necessarily play the zoning type or play the rushdown, just have a mindset of what is most effective that this person could do. So
Okay.
it's not about me playing the zoning type to know how they play. It's just thinking of what tools they have and what will be most effective in the certain situation that I'm put up against.
Okay.
So that way you could understand what they do better.
Okay. Okay.
So you don't have to play, but at least knowing the tools of the character, it'll be you'll be in a bigger advantage.
Maybe labbing more. It kind of sounds like that might like melt labbing the opposing kind of
I'll
play
say the
style.
truth. I don't really lab as much.
Alex is
I
nasty exposed over here. I'm just kidding. I'm
I
just
like
messing with
watching
you.
streams, seeing how other people react to certain situations and adapt it to myself. That's
Yeah.
kind of how I've learned all games necessarily that way. I watch how other people do it and adapt my playstyle, just improve on it little by little. I think the only game I've actually put hours of like solo practice is Counter Strike, but that's because practicing aim is completely different than practicing one move that'll counter a certain string,
Okay.
because that's just recognizing where that string is and what you could do to counter it. But in a game with aim, it's completely different. It's just muscle memory the whole time.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I think too, I agree with you there because I think sometimes we forget that we forget that the adaptation is really important in fighting games. So like me as a lab monster, I'm basically the opposite of you. I spend a lot of time in the lab, and something I've kind of realized is that where I definitely agree with you is that if you spend too much time in the lab and you don't play enough games, what happens is you actually adapt slower. So
Exactly.
that's something I definitely agree that, sometimes it's actually better to go the other way and maybe focus more just on playing or watching other people play, focus less on you as a your kind of what's the right word? Like your how you approach the game. So like, for instance, since I approach labbing all the time, I need to just spend more time actually, in the game adapting. But so that makes sense. That's some really good advice for people who want to level up for sure.
Like one aspect of my playstyle that I actually like is I could actually adapt in a small set, like a first to two, best of five. In those small sets, I could actually adapt. But the thing that bothers me, at least personally, when I play, is when I am playing those long sets with people, and I punish their mistakes several times, but then I don't see them adapt because it's not really productive if they're gonna continue the same play style. Because if they're continuing the same play style and you're punishing those things and they're not adapting, but you're trying to like preemptively adapt to what they should correct.
Yeah.
If you don't see them doing that, it's not a productive set in my opinion. That's why I don't really like doing that many sets. I'll play a person a couple games and then I'll go to the next person because if I don't see them adapting and I can't adapt anymore, then it's just a stalemate. It's just who could get the damage out first. It's not as much of a learning experience as it could be because obviously you could always learn even from the shittiest games.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to get the most out of it, you need a player that could recognize when they're having where the mistakes they're making and how they could like fix it and see there's where like the good part about fighting games comes out, the beauty of it, the mind games. But a lot of people seem to like that, going just for the damage route, which is what MK kind of encourages, which is why you have the combat league quote unquote players.
Yeah. Well, I like that you kind of put it that way because something I've noticed is that um when you're analyzing, like I think when you get in the higher level or when you start, or at least from what I've experienced so far, when you start playing players that they're trying to top tournaments, like Nexus's last tournament, what you start to realize is that people they won't make decisions that make no sense. Like a good example I like to use is, when I play Molina now, right? If I have your health at about 20%, and let's say okay, well, if 20% is not the best example. Let's go with 30%. So if I have your health at 30% and you don't take the throw and you neutral duck, why did you give the game away? Yeah, that you might have made the right read, but like you could have taken another throw. So why would you neutral duck and actually risk the idea of me hitting you with the back one and ending the game? And like in a tournament setting, you wouldn't do that. Like you would, at least I wouldn't do that. Like I would analyze, okay, well, I've got 30 health, or I've got 300 health left. I can probably take two more throws. I probably should just take the throw. Maybe I get a wake up attack in or something like that. Instead of getting hit by a mid that's going to end the game instantly. Because I see players do that all the time and I'm like, what? Like why would you make that read? That's like the worst read you could make, but it works because they're so busy trying to kill you. They're not really focusing on the in-depth part of the game, I guess. I don't know, but that's just something that I've kind of noticed as a player because I'll hit people with back one and end the game, and then sometimes they'll like neutral duck when that could have cost them the whole game. So I don't know. But what would you say? Would you say I'm overthinking that maybe? I don't know. I might be. I've been known to do that,
I
but
I I always think about it in a risk reward factor. I think you know pretty well. I don't really do YOLO stuff as much. I always think about it as like calculated risks.
yeah.
Like okay, on Oki, let's say you drop me and it pushes me away a good amount. Now, if your character doesn't have a really good advancing mid, I'll probably wake up with a standing one or something just to check you in case you're uh, dashing in and you didn't get your button on off on time, or just depending. But then someone might see that as, oh, you're mashing on wake up. But what they failed to see is that gap that I saw on the Oki. So
Okay.
it's always risk reward. If I see that you're often, let's say, I'm pressuring you on Oki and you do a wake up three and I get hit, and the last three times you did it, you went for a grab right after. Now the fourth time, you might go for another grab since you keep hitting me. Now the risk reward there, I'll probably neutral duck. If you
Yeah.
hit me with a combo, yeah, okay, I guessed wrong. But if you think about the odds of you doing it again, they're probably pretty high. So although it is not the smartest choice, you should just take the throw or maybe tech it. By the previous data you have basically accumulated, it's probably the better choice to go for it.
Yeah, or jump. It's MK11, so
I always rather
jumping's
go for
always an
the
edge.
neutral duck instead of jump, because if they throw out a stand one or something, then it'll catch you.
Oh, it'll catch you,
If you
yeah.
think it's a grab, yeah.
That's true. Or a quick enough mid will also catch you depending on the
Yeah,
height of your
basically.
jump. Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. I wish I was more attentive in matches. I'm getting a little bit better at it, at least getting used to the tendencies. I'm noticing that that's an important thing, and I think you basically mentioned that looking for tendencies or what someone has done is a way to kind of counter them in the long run. So my biggest one of my I always ask everyone this question because I know everyone has an issue with this game. For the most part, this game is very balanced. This is probably, I don't know if you played previous MK games. Previous MK games they were just some straight nonsense. Like you had characters like Ermac that he did a EX push and it was 6 frames and it had armor and it was safe on block. And you could do it, it cost 1 bar meter and you had 3 bars of meter. So you could just do it 3 times in a row. And your opponent
Whoa.
just had to block it. Yeah, it couldn't do anything. It anti-aired, it did everything. There's nothing they could do about it. And that's why when I started playing MK11, I really, really started liking this game because it's much. I know people complain about, okay, well, Jacqui has bionic bounce, Katana has the fan flutter thing. That's not neutral in Oki, but I promise you, it's much more neutral in Oki than any other previous NRS title. So, my question to you would be, what do you find most annoying though? Because there's always something that's wrong with NRS games. Like it's always been like that. Like what gives you the most trouble in MK11?
It's honestly an issue that I thought would be resolved in this patch, but it wasn't. And it's the low pokes on block into backdash to get you to whiff a button. Some characters' movement speed is just ridiculous, and even if their pokes were made more negative, they're still being able to get away with backdashes that shouldn't be really but like viable. Like that shouldn't be something meta. That you're -6, -7 on a low poke and you're getting away with backdashes.
Do you think
I know
that's
it's
an
the
online thing? Oh, sorry. Continue. Continue. I
no, yeah,
apologize.
no. Actually, good thing you mentioned it because I'm like I was about to say it could be an online thing, and it's obviously the other person's fault for letting them get away with it. But with the game being more emphasized now with low pokes into special that are safe, you're always looking out for something and having it in the back of your head. So being able to get away with, let's say, Fujin doing his down four into backdash back one, or doing his down four into the needle, you always have that needle in the back of your mind, and you don't want to just eat that free damage because he could just restand you or he could amp it and push you away and get his back two games started.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've had that. I had that problem with Cabal too. Down one on block. I mean, we don't see you don't see Cabals as much. It's usually Fujin. I've noticed Fujin and I think Sub-Zero even does it a few times. Like he'll do like back three or something and then back dash and then try to whiff punish you with back one if you press anything.
Well,
Or
that's
forward two,
fine because
sorry.
they're doing a string into backdash. But I mean, when you do a low poke into backdash, like down three, down four into backdash, some characters still have the ability to do that. And I don't think
You didn't think it
Obviously,
was
they shouldn't.
designed that way.
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Okay.
That's why they made it more negative to try to counteract that. But I guess some pokes weren't made negative enough.
Yeah, well, it's also to prevent the down one nonsense too, because pre-patch MK11 Ultimate, Katana. Well, I think Katana still has to check you this way, but before Katana could only check you with down one or throw, because she could throw you out of your next down one, because throws beat pokes, if you're minus, or she could down one you. But if she down one you and you blocked it, she was -7. So you could down one her down one you back to check you so she could start her pressure. And if you block it, you lose your turn again. But she could not down one you and then you could just poke her again and any other button I press besides throw, she would get beaten. So you were like in this weird position where you were damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's why a lot of people they see me now like I'll down one on reaction, and the reason why I do that is because I'm so used to that meta where like the only answer was to down one back. Like literally that was because they could down one you, right? And then if they read that you were going to throw them to beat their next down one, they could neutral jump and punish you. So it's just like, oh, okay, so I'm literally just confined to a -7 down one. So now that I think that's another reason why pokes were like meant to they were made more minus just so characters couldn't do that down one like Scorpion was notorious for that because his down one reaches so far. So um the other issue is because I know you mentioned that you think they should be more minus. If they're any more minus they would be punishable by jabs. That's the only issue.
I think all pokes should be -7.
-7, okay.
Yeah, just keep them outside of that. But basically, with -7, if you're pressing something after and the person's not punishing it, then it's on the person.
Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, -7 makes him 14 frames too. So which mean the next one, which means most characters would be able to punish you with a mid. So that's actually a pretty good. I think that's a pretty good way forward. I don't know if they want it to play that way though. That's the only thing. That's the one thing I'm wondering about NRS because not a lot of players have quick mids in this game either. So I don't know if like they want characters to be able to punish your next poke with mid. Well, I mean, what would you say about that? Like, what would you do you think that would be okay having every character punish the next poke with a mid?
I think every character should have a mid that's reliable enough to punish something,
Okay.
like a mash after a poke, but not all characters have that reliable mid. That's the bad part.
Okay. Okay, so you think okay, so you do think that every character should have it then, one
Yeah.
to counter. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I feel that way too, honestly. I just don't know again, I don't know what NRS is kind of planned because I know that they from what we've read with the previous or with the recent patch, right, is that they definitely want us to jail into our or jail from our pokes, right? Like they've made all the pokes like +19, +20. Katana's down 4 is now +20. You can't mash.
Insane.
So yeah, so I'm pretty sure that they definitely want the pokes on hit to jail, from what I understand. Um,
It, it's way easier to link the down one to stand one, which is very good for characters.
Yeah. Oh, I love that change. This is definitely my favorite change from MK11 Ultimate. What would you say is your favorite change from MK11 Ultimate? What would you say?
Hmm. I like the custom variations now, honestly. At first, I was a little bit iffy about it, but I like the what it brings to the table, more variability in your moves, and you could adapt depending on what they play, what tools they choose to take into the fight.
Yeah, you got a projectile.
It's so dumb.
Hey, hey, it is what it is, man. I actually that also segues into my next question. So, um, a lot of people they wanted to see your character nerfed. Now, I personally I feel for players who love their characters and have a bond based off of the hours that they put into their character. What did you expect to happen?
I expected more for sure. I didn't expect them to nerf the dash punch, even though it did deserve it, because no other character really has a safe special like that. Maybe besides Cassie's glow kick, that's -8. Very few characters could actually jab punish it because of the pushback.
Yeah.
But basically, Johnny Cage can't. I mean, that shit's punishable, and it's a high. Liu Kang, it's a high. You could punish it. Jade, it's a high. You could punish it. Shao Kahn, punish. Shoulder charge. Nightwolf. Why does Jackie get a safe one? I get it before with first round KO. It's the only tool she had besides back two.
Yeah.
But Jax basically is in the same position, but he has like a couple projectiles in his base kit. Jackie didn't.
Yeah.
But then since upgraded came out, and now especially with custom variations, there's no excuse for that move to be safe.
Okay.
Because you could take other tools to help you in the neutral, so that isn't her crutch.
Yeah, like bionic bounce, right? Because you can use
Yeah,
it to get in.
since you can use other moves, you can't use dash punch as a crutch. So now there's no reason for it to be safe. So that makes sense. Now the flawless block gap in the leaps, I haven't really seen that many people abusing or taking advantage of it completely. I feel like the people that are getting the flawless blocks are more by luck than before.
Okay.
They're just getting better timing since it's more time to react. I guess 6 frames might hit the button a little late and get that lucky flawless block, but most of the time it's not really intentional after the update from what I've seen.
And just to recap, the flawless block is 6 frame now, right? That's what makes it
Yeah,
different. Okay. You can
a
flawless
sig-
block the shrapnel,
yeah,
or
any move that comes after the shrapnel, like no, after you leap, will have a 6 frame gap that you could flawless block. So even if I do jump two, shrapnel, whatever comes after that I could hit you with has 6 frames that you could flawless block.
okay,
But it's still different. Like if my jump two comes out in 9 frames and you have the 6 frame gap, it's still a different timing than if I do my jump kick that comes out in 14, let's say.
would you consider it risky to? Because I remember you and I were kind of talking off stream. Would you consider it You consider it risky to flawless block there though, right? Because I know Katana, she has a vertical up two, which is really good for vertical jump ins or anything like that. So you were saying that that's actually probably not the best idea, is the because you can variate when you do the shrapnel, correct?
I think being able to flawless block it is an option you need to have because as soon as you present to the Jackie player that you can flawless block it, it'll be on the back of their mind if you are or not. So that takes some pressure off of you because they're gonna probably be overthinking some things that they don't have to
Oh, okay.
because it's not something unless you can do it very consistently, it's not really something that one should worry about. But even if you could do it once, you don't know if you're gonna get it again. So that's maybe a risk that they don't want to take. So they're gonna end up using more utility to try to open you up, which is good in your favor because the faster she burns through the utility, the faster you could start putting your pressure on.
Uh, yeah, and that's where the mind games start. That's pretty
Yeah,
much.
if you try to flawless block, especially now with the plasma grenade projectile, if I'm higher up in the air before with the regular shrapnel, the properties, if I would shrapnel up in the air and I'm too high up, it'll whiff. It would not hit you. You could just not block it and even dodge it. But with the new projectile, if I'm above you, even if I'm at the max height of the game, it drops a projectile straight down. So it'll hit you no matter what.
Okay,
That's so that's something also to take
into
in
account.
note.
Okay. Yeah, Jackie's really strong. Excuse me. I remember I was playing first round KO for just kind of practicing around with her, and I don't know, I like her play style. It's just I've never had enough time to like actually put time in it to Jackie. So I liked it more than Cetrion, and I was considering Cetrion for a while too. Um, what would you recommend to new Jackie players? Like, what would you tell them? What would you say that's the most important?
She's not gonna carry you as easy as you think. You have to put in time just like every other character. You have to know what to press when to stagger, how to read your opponent, because she does have basically one of the strongest stagger games in Mortal Kombat,
Maybe
but you
Liu
still
Kang
need
being the
to,
second one, you
her
would
and
say?
Liu Kang have the best in my opinion.
Okay.
It's matched. I don't think you could really put one ahead of the other because their tools are different. So
Okay.
if anything, Liu Kang maybe has a better mind game behind his staggers because he has a parry that he could implement.
Oh, okay.
But Jackie's staggers are amazing as well because they're just safe. You could just block after if you think they're gonna press. You could flawless block if you think they're gonna press. You could micro duck if you think they're gonna go for a high.
So I've heard that that a lot of Jackie players, and this is just kind of rumor, but I've heard like they say that Jackie has nothing to open you up with. What would you say about that? That's what I've heard. Like you could just hold block, but then I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm blocking forever. So
Realistically, all her options to open you up are reactable because when she shrapnels, you honestly have to. You could block low until she goes for the jump two, and unless she does an empty jump into a low or I mean an overhead, then you could really block low the whole time. Now, the back one overhead, it's really good to catch people off after a jump in because you're doing overhead overhead,
yeah,
but it's kind of slow. So you could react to it, and there's even a gap where you could just jab her out of the air, but you have to be pretty quick. She has good plus frames. She opens you up good if you're not patient and you want to try to contest the staggers. But if you just hold block and you could just press down when she goes for a low or hold overhead, and you'll just the only way she can open you up is with grabs.
yeah. What about her throw mine game? I'm kind of
She has good
curious.
Oki on her back throw because it's basically yeah.
Okay,
Her forward throw is good too because you could just leap in, and depending who you're playing against, you could leap in shrapnel, you could empty jump.
okay,
She's just a really good solid character.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't see the like I always hear like, oh well, you have nothing to open them up with. Well, why don't you just throw them like 5 times? Eventually, they'll realize that they're getting thrown a lot, and they'll try to neutral duck, and then you can open them up. I mean, that's kind of my thing. I mean, you have a 9 frame mid, right? So they can't even pump the block button like they try to do with katana, and I still open up people with katana even though they do that. So I
If
don't
I'm playing
quite
an,
understand.
I'm sorry, if I'm playing an opponent that I don't know how they're gonna play, how they're gonna react to my stuff, I always try to stagger into grab at first, try to open them up that way, get them thinking about the grab, and then just don't grab anymore after and just open them up with staggers the whole time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Traditional fighting game, basically. That's what that's what that sounds like. That's really
Yeah,
cool. Yeah, that's I
and
sorry. Sorry,
I
continue.
like when you stick actually to a character for a long time because I basically know Jackie's combo so well, and when I get hit confirms, I could just focus my attention on looking at the resources, how much health you have, where we are on the map, um, where what optimal combo I could do for where I am on the screen, considering my meter. So that's something that I think is important for people picking up Jackie. So if you could get her combos down and learn to hit confirm, especially that forward 1-2, you could either jump away or just confirm the shrapnel and continue your combo. That'll help out a lot.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm getting better myself at that, like looking at meter, looking at where my opponent is on the screen, where I'm on the screen, if I'm taking them to corner, things of that sort. Because I've noticed that that's kind of, well, it's really important, not just with Jackie, but with any character. Um, which is, I'm glad that's why you mentioned that, because I think sometimes players, they want to get, the combos down and what they call the nooch down, but there's actually a little bit more to fighting games, at least as I learned to become better at playing MK myself. So
Yeah, I think I look at the opponent's character more than mine now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I do that a lot when zoning. I've noticed that I do that a lot when throwing project, because especially if I'm playing like against Jackie, I have to know when you're gonna leap on me. So So I have to
For
pay
sure.
attention to that. What is kind of one thing you would change about your character? Like what, for me in Katana, it's very obvious. Like I would say pokes. Her pokes are probably the worst pokes in the game outside of maybe her down four. So what would you say that
I
like
I
it
would fix her grab range because a lot of times you're right in front of them where your grab should hit, but then it completely whiffs, and she also leans back so the opponent can't punish. I would fix it both ways. I would make it if I whiff the grab, I should get punished just like every other character, but give me the grab because I there's other characters that their grabs are basically like magnets. It doesn't matter if you're a little bit far from them, you will
Aaron Black?
gravitate to their grab,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense. And Jackie's, you'll be right in front of them, and she'll literally like put her arms on you and then just walk back like she missed.
Yeah, Aaron Black. Aaron Black
So
is definitely
it's
notorious
those
for that.
inconsistencies on the grabs that's the only thing that she has not going for her.
Okay. Okay. Some honesty there too. Because I wouldn't have been surprised if you went like all out and been like, yeah, give her a projectile.
Nah, that's broken.
Like people
Well,
are
she has
asking
a
for.
projectile, so
Yeah, well, yeah, she does. It's just kind of untrue because it doesn't do. Does it do chip on block at all?
yeah.
Oh, it does. It does chip on block. Wow. Okay.
And if anything, I think it might be better than traditional just because it has that arc
Yeah.
type, so you could anti-air with it as well, and you could always amplify it to get that traditional straight fireball.
Wow. She might outzone Melina then, unless Melina has
No, no,
loci.
no. Well, it depends where we are on the map. Melina's projectiles come out a lot faster, so I think those would be better at the end.
Oh, let me give you a little hint on Melina. I was saying this earlier in Rio's chat. Melina's sighs aren't very plus on hit. You can actually jump after she hits you with a sigh, and I'll have to back up to throw another one. I don't know if you know about that, but that's something I found out. Katana's low fan is the same way. If I hit you with a low fan and you jump right afterward, unless I dash backwards and throw a straight fan, the next low fan will miss because it's not plus enough. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, her standing fan is very plus. It's like plus 15, but her low fan is like plus 8, plus 10. It's not that plus at all. So you can always jump. I was actually playing backs in my last tournament. He was doing that. I'd hit him with a low fan, and he was playing noob. He'd jump right over the next fan toss and then combo me. It was the most hilarious thing. Um, I just like spreading knowledge when people are struggling with my matchup because I don't want to win based off of something that someone just simply doesn't know. I don't know, but yeah. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh, where? So now for the juicy part of the topics.
Let's see.
So
What's it
you've
gonna
been
be?
talking about Cetrion being top one. Heard this a lot in our Steam NA Discord, which you're also an admin of. So you've been talking about specifically Cetrion being top one, and you've even played a little bit of Cetrion. Why over Jacqui? Why would you say that Cetrion is better over Jacqui? Because
Okay.
I know you've played both at this point.
The only thing that Jackie has, in my opinion, that Cetron cannot offer is wait. I want to make sure I say this correctly.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, basically just the damage aspect is what she lacks, and the availability to get a KB whenever you really need it. Because Jackie's dash punch KB, any combo you have, you can basically guarantee you're gonna use that KB. And Setron basically only has the 2-1-3 string, which is the boulder that hits you on the head with a counter hit.
Okay.
So
Okay.
besides that, and even though Cetrion, her best variation now being the tornado, earthquake, and teleport, all of that is unbreakable damage most of the time. You're not really launching or anything. So every time you do get that KB, most of the time your opponent has meter to break away. So Cetrion's not really gonna get more than 23% for any combo or a KB, maybe just 300 before they break away.
Yeah.
So Jacqui really does take over the damage aspect, but in terms of neutral, staggers, mind game, Setron might have even the upper hand on Jacqui because of her movement. She could do 1-1 backdash into anything and negate their opponent unless they react and preemptively know that you're gonna do that option.
Yeah. Well, Cetrion resets to neutral unlike Jackie too, right?
Yeah, freaking research neutral on block has safe specials, could pressure you from anywhere on the map. Now with the earthquake has a special that is a double low that you could cancel and pressure into anything else. Now the tech to counter the earthquake is to short hop after the first one. But if you do the first one cancel and you short hop, then they hit you with the stand one, it's a full combo punish. So I just think Cetron is in a stronger place for how the meta is, what the character could do in the map, and for like the frame data and all that. Cetron is above Jackie,
Yeah.
and even in the matchup head to head, I think Cetron also does well against Jackie.
Oh, okay. So you think Cetrion would beat Jackie? Or
I
do you
think
think
it's like 6'5". I mean 6'4".
six
Yeah,
four? Okay.
it's not a big advantage, but I think Cetron's tools do stop Jackie.
What do you think Lou does maybe better in that? Because I've heard that. Because I was talking to
Against Cetrion.
Spoonman, yeah, and he was saying that
Yeah,
Lou does better against Cetrion, just because he can zone her too.
I do think he does better. Just because he could also do those jump attacks into Fireball, which really helps him not worry about the ground as much, and also punish Cetrion when she's jumping and doing her Hell's Wrath.
Okay.
So Liu Kang could punish that and then get his fly kick in. He just has with his fireballs offer him what Jacqui Briggs doesn't have because not having a fireball. She can't just jump in all the time because Setron has really good anti-airs, has the boulder that could anti-air you even if it's the floor one, if it's timed correctly. The
Yeah.
air one gives her the KB, the Hell's Wrath anti-airs as well. Setron could do a jump back two into Hell's Wrath, so that covers more than one option. If I'm jumping in, the jump two will hit me. If I'm jumping in late, the Hell's Wrath will hit me. Setron has really good tools and plays the current iteration of Monkey Combat 11 better.
Monkey comment. Oh man, too many
So there's no
Discord
reason not
jokes
to
in
play
here.
her. There's no reason not to pick her up. And she's really easy to play. Not as easy as Liu Kang,
Yeah, one
but
one
she
tornado,
has a
one
lot
one
more
two.
mind games. Yeah, not even. You could do 1-1 teleport. And unless you're expecting that option, she has so many options. You could do 1-1 earthquake cancel, 1-1 backdash wall, 1-1 backdash 1-1, 1-1 backdash tornado. You could it's infinite. You could do stand one, far teleport, jump up Hell's Wrath. You could do
Yeah.
anything. That's the thing. Every single hit that she does could be timed with the teleport. So you could do any attack and then just teleport away if you have the meter. You could just play mind games conditioned by doing the teleport into down one tornado if you want to be safe and not have to waste meter. But if they react quick, there is a gap. But if you down one rock wall, there is no gap. So she also has that low special that is safe, which Jackie does not have, which is important in this iteration of the game since the low pokes are more minus. She can't abuse that 7 frame down one with the -3, which the next one will be 10 frames. Now
Yeah.
it's like -6. So the next one's gonna be 13 frames.
Okay.
And that's if it's frame perfect.
Yeah. Okay.
But Setron, she could get away with that. You could even do a down one to backdash because your opponent might be expecting a rock wall, might be expecting a tornado. You could even do down one into the earthquake and it's instant. And you could do a cancel right after you have your turn back for free.
Yeah, I mean, that's the main issue I've had with Cetrion myself is there's just so much shit that she has. Like you saw, I was playing against you with Katana. Slink did a way better job, but me just even as a Katana main, like trying to figure out when I should throw in the back two or when I should fan toss. Like it's just difficult because you can teleport or use rock wall, and if rock wall counters my fan toss, I'm getting fucking crushing blowed for it. So it's just it's a huge guessing game against Cetrion. At least with Jacqui, I can feel comfortable holding block. But with Cetrion, I feel like at that point, maybe she'll zone me out or whatever. She'll, sit on the life lead. Um, so it's just much more frustrating with Cetrion personally.
Her
Um,
zoning is really brain dead. Her up close game is pretty easy as well. She's just a pretty
Solid character.
solid character, basically. Like, there's no reason not to pick her up if you play the game with intentions of like more winning than character loyalty or having fun. Even though I think she's a pretty cool character, like NRS did a good job with the character design, although her lore is pretty bland, like Gears, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But as far as like character moves, how they look, and how they fight in the game, I think it's really cool. They did go over the top with her, with giving her like all the amazing tools she has.
Yeah.
That teleport should be at least 2 slots. Like, that's a teleport that you could use in the air. You could use it in every single hitting string in your freaking arsenal. You could do it basically anywhere.
Yeah, it's kind
So
of weird because Scorpion has a teleport too, but his cancels like two two slots. So I don't know. I don't understand the kind of balancing reason behind that. I guess they never really expected customs to be a thing. I don't know. I honestly, it's just kind of weird to me. Cetrion's actually the first. I think she's the first Elder God in MK lore that you can play.
sh- uh, isn't Shinnok an elder god?
Oh yeah, you're right. Shinnok. I forgot about Shinnok. Yeah, I totally forgot about him. Yeah, he's a fallen Elder God. I totally forgot. Yeah. I guess
Yeah,
she's the
isn't he
newer
isn't
Elder
she
God.
related to Shinnok? Yeah, she's Shinnok's sister.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shinnok's sister. Yeah, yeah. I totally forgot about that because I think is it Shinnok? Is he the only one? And
The
then
only
Cetron was
other
the
playable
newest
one,
one.
yeah. We don't know any other elder god, I believe.
Yeah, because all the other gods they're like Earthrealm defenders like Fujin and Raiden.
Basically.
Um, Raiden, man. Oh my gosh, don't even get me
But
started on
yeah,
Raiden. Raiden makes me. Ugh.
Cetrion's stand one is one of the best anti-airs in the game. It has really good range. It's only -1 on block, so you could do stand one, down one, or stand one backdash. You could
Has no
she
hurt
just has
box too, right?
it's just, yeah, it's amazing, man. Yeah, you can neutral duck a lot of her stuff, but then that's where the mind game comes. If you start neutral ducking, she'll hit you with that back three low. She could hit you with the just literally a plain rock wall on your face. The character has many, the forward 2 3, you could mix it into the lower overhead. They're both punishable, I guess, but most characters are just worried about that lower overhead, and then you could throw in a teleport after. She has the crushing blow one that's 2-1-3, or you could do 2-1 into the low. She has a really good mix. I think she opens up better than Jacqui. She has better tools in the neutral. She could zone. She's just overall a stronger character for this game. Jackie's still top three, but Setron's one step ahead.
So you think Jackie stands in third place? You would say? That's actually was one of
I
my
think it's
questions.
interchangeable between Liu Kang, Cetrion, and Jackie.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think all three are interchangeable. Is not really like a top one. One could be any other on a good day. Depends who's playing them.
Okay. Yeah, I could see those three being maybe you put like Joker and Kotal below that, I would say. I would say Joker, maybe Kotal are probably for the next two places.
I think Fujin's still
Oh,
better,
I
but
forgot about
Kodo.
Garrus. Yeah, I forgot about Garrus and Fujin too. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of strong characters.
That's good though. In most NRS games, well, besides MKX, there's like you had like maybe three characters that were strong, maybe maybe three. So that's good. I mean, it's good that this game seems the most balanced out of definitely the most balanced. I know you from what I remember you haven't played any other NRS games seriously, so I would definitely tell you that like they're going in a good direction. That's probably the best way to put it.
Yeah,
So,
even Shiva looks really strong right now.
oh, you know what the fuck? Oh man, I gotta learn that, dude. I still haven't learned that, man. I'm too busy trying to figure out how to counter these Shangs and Jades. Actually, I was gonna ask you that. Do you think Jackie beats Shang? Kind of a little special question here.
Hmm. Shang doesn't do bad in the matchup,
Because he's a
but
strong zoner. I think
if
he's the only well, true top tier zoner, I would say.
if you know his strings and you can flawless block the skulls, the ground skulls, I think you're fine. That's the only thing that
Can you
really
reversal
carries
dash
Shang.
punch that?
Yeah, you don't even have to flawless block it to punish the skulls.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's why he can't really unless he amplifies it. If he doesn't amp it, I could just normal reversal punish. I don't have to flawless block.
Huh. I would
By
say,
flawless block, I could dash up and do a full combo though.
yeah, I wonder, yeah, I would say she beats him then, huh? I mean, because he'd have to use corpse drop to get anywhere.
And now with the projectile as well, I think Jackie probably beats Shang.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable thing. Customs really helped a lot of top tiers. Well, it helped lower tier too, but for the most part, I think we can all agree that the top tier stayed top tier pretty much.
Basically.
So, what would you say? Because you were saying earlier, and I'm getting more into the tourney scene, and I think you're going to be entering a tourney soon, which I look forward to you playing actually. I would say as I continue to get more into the tourney scene, I know Katana is my mascot, and like a lot of people, they come onto my stream to watch me play Katana. But I don't. I tell people this all the time. Katana is just my mascot because she was the first character I played in MK11. I have no loyalty. I will play whoever I like playing. Now, with that said, there are a few characters that are higher on the tier list than Katana and Melina that I feel like playing because I feel like they'd give me a better edge in the tournament scene. I would ask you, what do you think it's okay to pick up other characters just simply because they might do better in a matchup? Or should you try to stick with your character and just deal with the bad matchup? Like, what would you say? Because I feel like I just don't have enough time to put into all these characters. So it would be like literally like a pocket Jackie, for example. So I wouldn't be as, as much of a character specialist as you. So what would you say about that? What would you think? Because I mean, I've seen you've been trying out Cetrion yourself just because you say that she's top one. So what would you say about that?
I believe that your skill in fighting games should not be hindered by the shortcomings of your character. Therefore, to avoid any mental agony, I suggest you pick a high tier character.
I know where that's
Picking a
from.
character is not just a good idea, it's a way of life. It's your decision not to feel any shame in having an advantage
This
over
guy,
others.
this guy
It's your
unplugging.
will it's your will to level out the playing field whenever you can.
Oh
It's
man.
your understanding that your mental health is more important than any loyalty you feel to a fictional character. Now pick high tier.
Now, if anyone watching this podcast, if you don't know what Alex's nasty is ranting about, it's basically it's a clan, right? That has like pick high tier. That's their clan name. So he just said their slogan basically. Um, so you would say that, okay? That I mean that I think that's good. I just think I would advise other players that are kind of in my position because I don't consider myself. Maybe I'm like more of an intermediate player. I would say that. I would tell them if anyone would listen to me about this. Don't play more than three competitively at a time. I think I feel like that's going more than that is probably not going to help you. What would you say about that? Do you think even then it would be better for you to just pick an extra character if it just they simply destroy this character, or would you say the same thing? Like what would you think about that?
I think there are people that can manage to keep the same like skill level across various characters. Me personally, I've always been someone that like I could keep that skill level with one or two characters that I practice consistently. Now I could probably add more to the roster, but there's no way of keeping all those characters to the same competitive level. Even if it's better versus a certain matchup, you might feel more comfortable always playing one certain character. So it's, at least for me, I try to stick with the one I'm more comfortable with in any matchup, and that'll take me further than maybe learning a whole new character just because it's considered to counter a certain matchup.
Okay. Yeah, that's what Starin said too. Okay. Yeah, during my interview, he said the same thing. He was saying how like he would just rather play Fujin across the board than pick a character that might deal with a matchup easier. Even though it is Fujin, I'm just pointing that out there.
I don't really think Fujin struggles versus many characters, but if anything, I actually say that Jacqui, custom Jacqui does well against Fujin, just because of that new projectile that you can shoot upwards. It stops his Skywalker when he resets neutral. It's a mind game. If I'm a dash punch and punish him, or I'm gonna throw that projectile, he has to eat the chip. He can't really hop and do Skywalker after resetting neutral because he'll eat the projectile. So it's really good tool to use against him.
Okay. So Jackie does well against Fujin. That's
At
nice to
least for
know
me,
too.
yeah.
So where do you we're kind of getting close to the end of this talk, but I think I got like two more questions lined up for you. Where do you sit ultimately with the meta? No pun intended.
I
What?
think this game has always been mostly strike throw, mostly emphasized. The nerf to the grabs, I think, helped out a little. It's not really as noticeable as I thought it would be because it's only really 10%. So it's not ultimately the biggest nerf. But characters that have that 50-50 mindset of, am I going to grab you or am I going to full combo you, are the ones that are strongest, the ones that could enforce it the best with the tools.
Okay. So command grabs are strong to you then, because they don't even have to. I mean, you can't tech a. You have to hard read a
Mid
command grab.
command grabs are, yeah, they just put a character higher up.
Okay. But not someone like Jax though, you wouldn't say. Because Jax, I mean, he has a command grab, but it just seems like Jax and Melina, especially, like it seems like even though they have command grabs like that, it doesn't seem like, or even Rambo maybe, it doesn't seem like they're gonna go far still.
Yeah, I think that those command grabs should have had ticks within strings. I don't think that any, either all command grabs don't take off strings and just off pokes, or have every command grab take off one or two strings at least. I just wanted to see more consistency within that.
Okay, I
I
agree.
don't think that some characters should have a mid command grab with really easy inputs like down back or back forward, and other characters have a three input command grab that does 90 damage, and it's way harder than the mid one, and it has no ticks. Like, where's the consistency in it?
Well, they're trying, I think, just kind of go out on a limb on here with NRS. I think they're trying to nerf that type of power where characters have like strong ticks off of their command grabs and their command grabs do more than 10%. I think that's what they're trying to do, and I think that's most apparent in Rambo and Molina because as you saw, they gave them extended strings that throw, but even those extended strings that throw, they're only like 90 damage. And the reason why they did that, I also think is because they want you to take up two slots. So you'll have one slot where you have moves that tick, but they're not the actual command grab and they throw. And then you have the actual command grab itself. I think that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to force you to fill up your custom moves with like if you want grappling, you can't just choose the one move and then be able to tick off of it. You have to choose the set of moves with the throw, like the extended strings, and then the throw itself. At least that's what it seems like to me. I don't know. Well, I'm not a pro player, so I don't know exactly what NRS is doing. But it just to me it seems like that's what they might be doing. I don't know for sure though.
What I've been seeing is with every new character that comes out, they're kind of using them as like a guinea pig for introducing a new system into the game. Like with who was it? With Joker, they did the same fatal blow cancel as Johnny, but then they introduced the crushing blow.
Yeah.
Then with Spawn, they introduced the easy crushing blows that was before not tournament, but now since it's custom, it's available to everyone. Well,
Yeah, they
for
also
all his
gave him the first armor
variations.
break too.
Yeah,
Remember?
he also had the first armor break. Then with what was I gonna say? I had someone else in mind.
Um,
With the new characters, they have the grab that after 10 seconds of not taking damage or jumping, you get a crushing blow. So they've been slowly implementing these new things, I guess, to make the characters feel more unique. But I feel more as if it's a test and a trial, and using those characters as a guinea pigs to introduce this new new aspect to the game, new mechanic for a certain skill.
and it doesn't seem like it works sometimes either, from what I'm seeing. Cause like,
Yeah, because some moves take your feet off the ground, and maybe the animation for it makes it considered a jump, so it takes off your your basically your counter for the 10 seconds.
yeah, yeah, Molina's forward four is notorious for it. It's the reason I don't get that throw crushing blow because I use her forward four cancel a lot, especially with the high side because it's safe and it
Yeah, that
crushes
forward four is a
lows.
really good mid. It's just a little slow.
Yeah, yeah. I only use it on reads of pokes pretty much, but it sucks, yeah, because Molina especially in that case, if you use forward four, you could say goodbye to that crushing blow. So it's unfortunate, but I think you're right. They're using characters to kind of test new things, and I feel like the throw additions that they added, where they make the strings throw instead of ticking off your command throw. I think that was a failed experiment personally. I don't think it's worth
I
it.
think it's a waste of a slot.
Yeah, me too.
I
I
used to
totally
think it
agree.
was good, but Melina's one wanted to grab. It's only going to be effective so many times in the match, and it's not worth the risk reward. And the other two strings, okay, the forward 4-3 is good because you could cancel after the forward 4-3 into low side, or you could go into the restand.
Yeah.
But it's not really as good as one would hope.
Yeah, I mean it's even plus
Not as
20,
worth it.
but
Yeah,
yeah, like well it sucks 'cause like it's plus 20, but you have to spend 2 bars to get like 26% into and a plus 20 restand. So you can't even
exactly.
combo them afterward, 'cause Molina's ball roll requires you to burn a bar. So I don't understand what they were kind of going with there, but I don't know. It's NRS. Um,
And
they
they made the Rambo's command grab do too little damage, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's the reason I dropped Rambo, by the way. That's why I chose Molina over Rambo, because I couldn't reason my way through using a command grab and then them neutral ducking and then like me not getting my 9% and me taking like 30 to 40% because someone neutral ducked my command. I couldn't do it, I couldn't take it. It wasn't worth it. So,
And I like his leopard crawl, the one where you're on the floor and you crawl towards people and you have a mid command grab there.
yeah,
That one's
that
pretty
one's
good
good.
and it is reactable. I labbed it one day and I could react to it most of the time now.
Oh, okay.
But the different options it presents, that's something nice and unique. I like they added to the game.
Okay. Okay. So there are a few things then that you like that are kind of new, even though some of their stuff has been failed experiments. The one being the command
Basically,
grab ticks, because I agree with you on that. The command grab ticks, that's just
at least
man.
one string.
Yeah, like I was thinking maybe Molina's forward one, because it's her
Like the
fat.
command grab's already a high. Just give it a string, and if the opponent wants, they could just neutral duck it.
Yeah, yeah.
They can make, let's say the string ends in a mid. The mid could be minus 11 or minus 10. But if you do the command grab, it's a high, and obviously you could duck it. So either way, either option would be punishable. I don't see why they couldn't do something like that.
Yeah, I don't either. Um, Again, we just have to see what NRS has planned. They're just They kind of try new things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Um, so the podcast is almost over, our interview. I just kind of wanted to ask you one more question. I'm going to ask everyone this one. So you picked a high tier character. So me being a player who's picked kind of a lower tier, or I'd say Katana's probably around mid tier. Um, as I get into the tourney scene, again, I'm more convinced to play higher tier characters. So I've been looking at, characters like Jacqui, Cetrion, Liu Kang, etc. Now I'm gonna ask you, what about the other way around for you? Like, what character did you really like playing, but then you were just like, yeah, this character is just not gonna work on the top tier? Like, what was a character that played kind of similar to Jacqui or kind of gave a similar play style that you enjoyed, but you were just like, yeah, I've got to play, Jacqui if I want to do well in Combat League or in tournaments. Like, what character would you say?
Well, the character I wish I would have had more success with, but I don't think it's good for my playstyle, is probably Johnny Cage. I've always liked the way he fights. I like his character as a whole, but the character wish would have been probably a little bit stronger to be able to compete at a level with Jackie is probably Nightwolf. I like the way he fights. I like his simple, straightforward. He has good mix, but he lacks tools that other characters have. That in this game, it's too important, probably.
What tools does he lack? Kind of curious about that.
He has good mids, but I feel like his even though he has that shaman mid projectile, his custom combinations come up short because both of his launches are 2 slots. If you could have been able to have maybe a launcher with 1 slot, you could have the mid projectile and the command grab. That would have made him a way better character because then you open up his 1-1 mix to more options. You could do 1-1 command grab, 1-1 low, 1-1 overhead, or just 1-1 stagger into down one into grab. It You could do low poke into command grab, but since his moves cost too much, the slots don't line up for an optimal Nightwolf variation.
Okay, so he needs more mix, basically, because he's kind of straightforward with
He
with the
doesn't
mix.
open up very well. His forward two is kind of slow. You have no reason to block low unless he's enforcing a lot of low pokes or and sweeps. But
Okay.
overall, I think other characters could just pressure him out.
Does he get zoned out? I know his lightning arrow, you can't trade with it. So does he get zoned out or?
He has a projectile reversal that he
Oh
sends you
yeah,
back.
that too. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So technically, he shouldn't get zoned out. He has good space closers as well. He either has the ball roll, he has the shoulder charge, so he could close distance pretty well. And if he has the mid projectile, you really shouldn't be zoning him out because if you take that trade, it has really big knockdown and it does a lot of damage.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I like that. That's one of my favorite additions to Nightwolf. I hope they keep that projectile. That's a
He
pretty
has
badass
yeah, he
projectile.
has really good hit confirms. He's really solid, but he just lacks stuff that make you really good in this game.
He's
And
really simple. That's what I've
yeah, very
noticed.
simple.
Like I like characters like that. I like characters like Scorpion and Nightwolf. Like there's no confusing game plan. Because at least even Jackie for sure, but even Katana, I would argue her play style is not as simple as you would think. I mean, you have to learn how to cancel her floats in the air. You have to make sure that you variate your low fans and stuff like that. You can't do square waves on block. So I feel like Katana sometimes she might have a little bit more in depth. You can't do back two on her jumping opponent. That's another example. So I like characters like that that are kind of they're simple. I like if you want to just sit back and or a good example is let's say you're just getting into MK and you want to start entering tournaments and competing and you don't want to be thinking about all these moves, like you don't want to be thinking about Katana's back two string whiffing on a jumping opponent, right? Like you won't have to worry about that with Nightwolf or with Scorpion. I like to use those two guys
Yeah.
as an example. You just do what you're supposed to do. You do a down three. If the down three hits, you go into 1-1. You go into, was it forward two or back? It's forward two, right?
Forward two is the overhead. Yeah.
Yeah, you go in the forward two, or you do a throw. Like it's very, very simple. And that's something I definitely like about Night Wolf. Well, Alex, this was a great talk, great interview. I learned a lot about Jacqui. What would you, do you have any closing thoughts about, Jacqui or about the meta or anything of that sort?
Nah, I think we covered everything. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, okay. Well,
Good
I'm,
at asking questions.
yeah. Well, I definitely enjoyed you on. I definitely want to have you on some other time again, even if it's not about Jacqui or maybe it's about tournament setting. I had a fun time. Thank you everyone who listened to this interview slash podcast. You can follow me at OPS Soldier on Twitter, not Twitter, on Twitch. I stream Monday, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 9 o'clock. I stream MK on Monday and Wednesday and Friday. So feel free to stop by there and we'll see you next podcast. Thank you again, Alex.
Nah, thank you for having me, man. Have a nice night.
Yeah, you too.